What if I told you I could show you exactly how to lose the perfect house in about 10 days or less? Not because you're broke, not because somebody else had that much more money, not even because the house was wildly overpriced. Nope. A lot of buyers lose the house because of timing, bad decisions, and doing just enough dumb stuff at exactly the wrong moment. So today what we're gonna do is we're gonna do the real estate remix of How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. Except in this version, Matthew McConaughey is not chasing you down on a motorcycle, Kate Hudson's not waiting on a magazine article. And instead of losing the guy, you lose the house. And trust me, in this market, that hurts way worse. Because with mortgage rates still in the 6% range, homes priced high, and first-time buyers getting squeezed harder than ever, there is not a lot of room for the oops. So if you're buying in Columbia, Lexington, Irmo, Lake Murray, Blythewood, Chapin, or you're moving here from out of state, this video might help you save the deal. So let's get right into it. Now, I'm Chad, and I'm the local realtor right here in Columbia, South Carolina. Now, if you've been watching my channel at all, you already know I like to keep it real. I want you excited about buying a home. I want you dreaming. I want you walking through houses thinking, yep, this could definitely be the one. But I also want you prepared, because buying a house can be fun right up until you lose the one you wanted just because of something completely unavoidable. And that happens more than people think. Most buyers don't lose houses just because someone offered more. Sometimes that happens for sure, but a lot of times the deal was lost way before the contract ever died. Happened in the financing, happened in the timing, happened during negotiations, happened when the buyer stopped listening to good advice. Or it happened because they treated a real estate transaction just like a casual Amazon order. And let me tell you something, this market is changing and it's not for the casual. The latest buyer research shows first-time buyers are struggling. For the first-time buyers made up only about 21% of the latest NAR profile. And the median age of the first-time buyer, it's climbed all the way up to 40. Now that's wild. And NAR also pointed out that delaying home ownership until age 40 instead of 30, it can cost roughly $150,000 in starter home equity. We've got to get that age up. So we're not just talking about losing a house. Sometimes we're talking about losing time, losing leverage, momentum, and wealth building all at the same time. So today, I want to give you the 10 ways to lose a house in 10 days. And yes, we're going to have a little fun with it. But the message is serious because every one of these can kill a deal. So before we jump in, hit subscribe if you're buying, selling, relocating, or just trying not to make an expensive real estate mistake. And give me a comment below. Have you ever lost a house that you really wanted? Because I promise you, people have stories and I'd love to hear them. Let's go ahead and start with day one. Day one, you start touring homes before you get pre-approved. Now, when I talk about physically touring homes, now you can look on Zillow, Realtor, Homes.com, which is actually one of my favorites in the way it lists stuff now. You can look on any of those, but what I'm talking about is physically going and looking at homes before you get pre-approved. This is the real estate version of showing up to the starting line with no shoes at all and then acting shocked when the race actually starts without you. You're out there falling in love with kitchens, backyards, bonus rooms, screen porches, and that one primary bathroom that it makes you think you really do deserve this. Meanwhile, another buyer walks in and they're already pre-approved. They know their numbers, they know their payment, their lender's ready, their agent's ready. And when the seller sees their offer, they look serious. You look like you're still just browsing because you don't even have your pre-approval yet. And let me say this nicely, just browsing does not win houses. They got to see proof that you're qualified or that you have the money. Now, Freddie Mac says buyers should compare lenders and get pre-approved before they start seriously shopping, because pre-approval, it gives you a clear price range and shows sellers that you're serious. And that does matter. Because if we find the perfect house on Saturday and you say, okay, great, I'll call a lender Monday, the house may not still be available on Monday. And in some neighborhoods around Columbia, especially the good school zones, the clean homes, the updated homes, the lake area properties, and anything priced right, you don't always get the luxury of figuring it out. Pre-approval does not mean you have to buy today. It means if the right one shows up, you're ready. So if you want to lose a house fast, start shopping first and figure out your financing later. Works like a charm, just not in your favor. Now, the difference is your pre-approval, it does last 90 days. So remember that as well. All right, day two, let's go over this now, because I have it happen all the time. The client asks me, can we go lower and just lowball them? I know the move, I've seen the move. And listen, sometimes I make the move, and sometimes the property is overpriced. Sometimes it's been sitting. Sometimes the seller does need to move. Sometimes the market gives us room. But there's a massive difference between negotiating and posturing. Negotiating, that's when we look at the comps, the days on market, the condition, the seller motivation, the competition, and then we make a smart move. Posturing, that's when you say, let's just offer them 40,000 under and see if they bite. On a house that might have hit the market yesterday and it's already had 3 showings behind it and you don't even know this. That's not strategy, that's real estate cosplay. And sometimes all that does is tell the seller, these people are not serious. You'd be surprised what'll scare a seller away. Then another buyer might come in with a cleaner, more realistic offer. And suddenly you're sitting there saying, wait, they didn't even counter us. Nope. If you're offering 40,000 below, they may just reject it. But that's also where you need a good agent that can call and talk to the listing agent beforehand. Listing agent's not going to give up a ton of stuff, but you may get some clues from him because sellers are not required to help you negotiate with yourself. Freddie Mac explains that offers include price, terms, contingencies, and timelines, and that sellers often respond quickly, sometimes with response deadlines of only 1 to 2 days. So if you send a silly offer in a tight window, don't expect some romantic movie moment where the seller calls and he says, you know what, Chad's buyer really made us think. No, they may just move on. So if you want to lose a house in 10 days, day 2 is easy. Confuse being aggressive with being unserious. And again, listen to your realtor when they're talking about this. Day 3, every realtor has this story. You finance a big purchase right in the middle of a deal, or right when you're preparing to go. You've already got your pre-approval, so you think, oh, I'm good. You buy a car, you buy furniture, you buy a boat, or a side-by-side. Or you walk into a store and somebody says, no payments for 18 months, and your brain just leaves the building totally. Because this is one of the fastest ways to make your lender start sweating. And here's why. A lot of buyers, they think, I already got pre-approved, so I'm good. No. You're conditionally good, and there's a big difference in that. Your pre-approval was based on a snapshot of your financial life at that time. Your income, your debts, your credit, your assets, your liabilities, your down payment, your monthly obligations. And if you change that picture before closing, the lender may have to recheck the math. So yes, that brand new SUV, it may smell amazing, but if the payment wrecks your debt to income ratio, congratulations. You just gave the dream home a flat tire. And let's be honest, this happens because buyers get excited. They think, we're moving in the new house, so we gotta have that new couch. We need the new truck. We need the new appliances. We need the new washer and dryer. Maybe you do, but not before closing unless your lender specifically says it is safe. Run everything through your lender. Your job from contract to closing is to be boring. Do not open new debt. Do not move money around weird way. Do not make surprise purchases. Do not turn your bank account into a crime scene. Because if you want to lose a house fast, go finance something shiny before the keys are in your hand. I promise you, you will do it. Day number 4, how you can lose that house. Now, I talk about this all the time on many of my videos, and it's the inspections. Yes, you want inspections when you go to that house. You want to make sure all the stuff you can't see behind the scenes, that house is prepared for you. And that's part of what doing a home warranty is about. Many times, I will ask the seller to cover for a 1-year home warranty, but also it means not putting 47 items on the repair addendum. There's 2 negotiations when you're talking about buying a house. The first one's price, closing costs, day of closing, all of that extra stuff. The second is repair addendum and negotiations. They will turn it down real quick. What are we looking for? We're not looking for a door not closing just right. What we are looking for, plumbing. We're looking for electrical. We're looking for any rotten wood. We're looking for anything foundation. We're looking at stuff with the roof, HVAC. We do 3 inspections majority of the time. CO 100, we do the HVAC inspection, and then we do a full home inspection. Anything on the CO 100 and the HVAC inspection, we're asking them to cover the entire thing. Then on the home inspection, we're picking and choosing. Nothing cosmetic, just structural, plumbing, electric, all of that stuff I just mentioned a few minutes ago. Because listen, you want to negotiate reasonably. Because if you treat the inspection report like a Christmas list, you might lose the house over a $12 outlet cover. And yes, that is dumb as it sounds. Day 5, you switch jobs. It's okay if you talk with your lender and your lender knows what's going on. But listen, in real life, a new job, it can be amazing. Better pay, better benefits, better schedule, better future. I'm not anti-new job, but in the mortgage world, timing does matter. Fannie Mae's guide says lenders must verify employment close to the note's end date. And if your employment status changes, it can significantly impact the repayment capacity, and it must be reevaluated. Plain English, they're still checking near the finish line. If you change jobs in the middle of the deal, your lender may have to stop and ask, is the income stable? Is it salary or commission? Is there a probationary period? Is it the same field? Did the income go up or down? Can we use it? Do we need more documentation? And while everybody's trying to answer those questions, the clock is still ticking. The seller still expects you to close. The contract still has deadlines, and now your clean file, it just got messy. So if you're under contract and a job change is on the table, talk to your lender first. Not after, but before. Do not surprise the person holding the money, because that's how you lose a house in the least fun way possible. All right, day 6, do not open a new credit card. Maybe it's a store card, maybe it's a furniture account, maybe it's an actual credit card, maybe it's one of those buy now, pay later things that sounds harmless until underwriting starts side-eyeing the file. The problem is not always the amount. The problem is that you changed the profile. Lenders are looking at credit behavior, debt, liabilities, and your ability to repay it back. So when new accounts pop up in the middle of a transaction, it can create questions. If you pay off a whole credit card and you disavow it, it can mess with your credit, and it can mess with many other things as well. The questions, they create delays, and delays can create problems. The rule's simple. If you're buying a house, do not open new credit before closing unless your lender tells you it's okay. Do not apply for the furniture card. Do not open the Lowe's card. Do not buy rooms of furniture because the house actually needs it. The house needs you to close first. The furniture, it can actually wait. I know that couch is on sale, but there will be another couch. There may not be another house like this one though. So again, be boring until closing. Do not do any major decisions without taking it by your lender. Boring buyers get keys. Excited buyers, they get underwriting conditions. Day number 7, don't wait too long to make the decision. You sleep on it. And listen, I understand this one. Buying a house is a big decision. I tell this to clients all the time. It's the biggest money-making decision you will probably make in your entire life. So yes, I understand that it's big. Nobody wants to feel rushed, but you also don't want buyer's remorse. There's a difference between being thoughtful and being slow. In real estate, timing does matter. Freddie Mac note that offers commonly include seller response deadlines of 1 to 2 days. That means the market does not always give you unlimited time for a full emotional journey. You may not get 3 more showings. You may not get a family meeting. You may not get a cousin's opinion, a drive-by at sunset. Bring those with you if you're serious about the house, and they can look at it with you. I'm dealing with a client right now that they're taking too long to make a decision. They have to be here in 2 months or less, and they've waited too long on the houses, and all of a sudden, 3 of them 3 out of the 7 that I filmed for them, 3 of them have already gone pending, and those were the ones they really wanted. So here we are looking again, and they're on a time limit. Make sure, do not take too long, and give it 24, 48 hours. But ask your realtor, because your realtor can tell you if that house is gonna last longer. He can call the other realtor and ask what else they have, how many showings. You can actually go in showing time, and you can see how many showings they have in a day. Double check everything, but do not waste your time in making that offer on the house that might be your dream house. Day 8, you don't want to over negotiate. Negotiations are great, and some of my clients, they can't stand negotiated. They're like, we either get the house or we don't. We don't want to get into multi-offer situation. But they forget every term has a cost. Yes, you can ask for closing costs. Yes, you can ask for repairs. You can ask for appliances. You can ask for a home warranty. And yes, you can ask the seller to clean the gutters, repaint the deck, leave the patio furniture, and may even throw in their dog if you would like. But just hit the basics. Every single request that you make, it does add friction. Sellers compare offers not just by price, but by certainty. You want to make sure it's a clean offer and that they trust that you and your agent will get this to the closing table. Which buyer is easiest to work with? Which ones are they most likely to close? Which buyer has the fewest headaches? Which buyer has clean financing? Which buyer is not turning into a hostage negotiation? How do you know what to look for in these things? You have a real estate agent. You have a realtor. realtor that has been through it, that has been time tested, that has closed a couple hundred houses. You could have closed 6 houses in your entire life. But if you have a team behind you, you know what you're doing. This is where I come even in with referrals from across the United States. I interview employees for you. I know realtors across the entire United States. I know realtors all across South Carolina, and I can refer you to someone even if you're not in my Columbia and my greater Midlands area. So what does this mean? It means that you negotiate with intention. You don't ask for everything just because you can. You ask for what matters. Now that's strategy. And if you want to lose a house fast, make your offer feel like a 14-page instruction manual. It does not work. All right, day number 9. You actually fall in love before you check the budget. Now this one's dangerous because it feels so good and you get an emotional attachment. You walk in and the light is perfect. The kitchen's beautiful. The backyard, it's speaking directly to your soul. It's a wooded lot. The primary bedroom's got you acting different, and all of a sudden the budget becomes more of a suggestion, and people confuse being approved with being comfortable. This goes right along with getting that pre-approval. Know not only what you're approved for, but know what you can budget for. You don't want to be house poor. You look at whether the payment fits your actual lifestyle. Can you still save? Can you still travel? Can you still handle repairs? Can you still help your kids? Can you still go out to dinner without feeling guilty? Can you sleep at night? And don't forget the upfront costs. Housing costs often run from 2 to 5% of the loan amount. Then you have moving costs. You've got deposits, you got furniture, you got repairs, you've got utility setups, and there's 1,000 random things that can happen when you move. So you have to set yourself where you have a little bit of a reserve just in case that you need it. So the goal is to buy the right house that still lets you live your life and not be house poor. So day 10. I've actually been talking about this one throughout all of the first 9 days, and that's the fact that you stop following your agent's strategy. If you got a good agent, they know what they're doing. This is usually where the deal gets weird. Your agent says, here's what I think you should do. And then somebody else says, yeah, but my cousin bought a house in 2018, and he said it was the wrong movie, it was the wrong market, it was the wrong storyline. Real estate was local, real estate's timing, real estate is strategy. NAR's latest profile, it says that 88% of buyers used an agent last year. 88% used an agent or broker. 91% of sellers say they would use their agent again, and they recommend them. That's not because people love paperwork. It's because this process, it's got many landmines. So good agents are supposed to see the trap before you step into it. And I have guided my goal in a sale with most of my clients is to try to convince you not to buy the house. And then if you still want it, it's probably the perfect house for you. And it's not because I'm enjoy giving you homework. It's not because I'm trying to protect a deal, but you should ask questions. Should you understand the strategy? Should you blindly do anything without knowing why? No. This is why I tell my clients, call me and ask questions. I will gladly answer any questions whatsoever to help you feel more comfortable, and I will be as honest as I can be. And I promise you, if I think you should leave the deal, I'll be the first one to tell you, I'm still working with you. I will still get paid down the road, but I don't want you to make a decision on a dream home that's yours. And listen, Uncle Steve, he's not on the contract. He's not calling the listing agent, and he's not fixing your financing. Uncle Steve's not explaining to your spouse why you lost the house. So pick people you trust, then actually trust them. That's how you win. Listen, so there you have it. 10 days, 10 ways to lose a house. Day 1, tour before pre-approval. Day 2, submit a lowball offer and just say you're testing the market. Day 3, finance a big purchase. Day 4, turn the inspection into a hostage note. Day 5, switch jobs. Day 6, go ahead, open up that new line of credit. Day 7, wait too long to pull the trigger. Day 8, over-negotiate the deal once you do pull the trigger. And day 10, ignore the strategy that your agent gives you. You don't have to listen to your agent blindly, but listen to it and compare it to what you want. And just like that, somebody else may get the keys if you do any of those things. The painful part is that most of these things are avoidable. That's why I make these videos, not to scare you, but to prepare you. Because listen, the market is already tough enough. You do not need to help it beat you. If you're thinking about buying in Columbia, Lexington, Irmo, Chapin, Blythewood, Lake Murray, or you're moving in from out of state, listen, reach out to me. I'd love to build a real plan, and we'll talk budget. We'll get the lender tied up. We'll figure out where you fit in the process, and we'll make sure that you don't lose the house before you ever had a real shot at it. If information like this helped, give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel. It gets the word, it helps the algorithm, gets the word out. And share this with somebody who could actually use it. And listen in the comments, which day felt the most real to you? Which one did actually happen to you? For me, it's day 3, buying the car. I've probably seen that one more than any other one. I actually had someone show up to a showing in a new car after they had already been pre-approved. That one, it'll wreck a deal quietly and it'll smile while it does. Now, I'm Chad, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Please give me a call. I'd be glad to talk even more about it.